Hello, my dear friend. Welcome to VUS Learning English podcast. My name is Anna, and I am so happy you are here today. If you are new here, welcome. We are a family of learners, and we are so happy to have you. If you are a returning listener, thank you for coming back. It is always a joy to be with you. Today we have a very special topic. It is a topic for everyone who loves to learn. It is about reading, and it is about remembering. Do you love to read books? Do you want to remember all the wonderful things you read? Then this episode is for you. Thank you so much for joining me today. Your time is a gift, and I am so grateful to share this time with you. If you enjoy our time together, please think about following or subscribing. It helps our small podcast grow, and it helps us reach more learners just like you. I am always curious about our listeners. Where are you listening from today? Are you in your home? Are you on a walk? Maybe you are in a car or on a train. Wherever you are, I am sending you a warm hello. Now let's begin. Imagine this feeling. You are reading a book. You read the very last page. A wonderful feeling comes over you. It is a feeling of accomplishment. You feel proud. You close the book, you put it on your table, and you feel smarter. You feel wiser. You have just read hundreds of pages. You have absorbed new ideas. You have learned new stories. You have seen new data. But then something happens. A week goes by. A friend asks you a question. What was that book about? And you stop. You think for a moment. You can remember the name of the book. You can remember what the cover looks like. Maybe you remember one or two small ideas. But what about the details? What about the powerful stories? What about the information that changed your thinking? They are gone. They have vanished. It feels strange, doesn't it? It is like the information came into your brain for a short visit, like a little holiday, and then it left. It checked out without saying goodbye. I used to have this exact same problem. It happened to me all the time. I was reading many books every year. These were nonfiction books. Books about being more productive. Books about history. Books about philosophy. Books about business. I thought I was building a huge mountain of knowledge. I thought I was learning so much, but I was wrong. In reality, I was building a sandcastle. A sandcastle of facts I would soon forget. The big ideas from a book would disappear soon after I finished it. This made reading feel pointless. It made me sad. I asked myself, why should I spend hundreds of hours reading? Why if I just forget everything? This is the hard truth. We are all built to forget. It is a natural part of being human. Research tells us about something called the forgetting curve. A psychologist named Hermann Ebbinghaus was the first to study this. His work is very important. He showed that our memory fades in a predictable way. If we do not have a system to remember what we learn, we forget. We forget very quickly. His research showed that we can forget more than half of new information in just one day. And after a month, as much as 80% can be gone. That number scared me. 80%. It meant that almost every book I read was like a ghost in my mind. It was just a shadow. There was no substance. No real knowledge was left. So I became obsessed. I had one big question. How do you make knowledge stick? How do you make it stay in your brain? My search for an answer was a long journey. I learned about the science of memory. I learned about old ways of learning. And I learned about new, modern tricks. My journey started when I found something surprising. I discovered a very simple system. It was not a digital system. It was an analog system. It used paper and pens. A famous author uses this system. He has written many best-selling books, and he uses this simple system to remember thousands of books. I decided to try it. I wanted to see if it would work for me. I followed every step very carefully. And what I found was amazing. It was not just a better way to take notes. It was a new way to think. A new way to think about learning. A new way to think about memory. And a new way to think about reading. It helped me discover a surprising truth. The truth about what it means to build a perfect memory. And today, I want to share that truth with you. Section 1. The problem we all face, the illusion of learning. So let's talk about the problem. Let's understand it better. Because this problem is not just your problem. It is my problem too. It is a problem for almost everyone. The real issue is this. We think that reading is the same as learning. We think that when our eyes see the words, our brain learns the information. Psychologists have a name for this. They call it the illusion of learning. It is a feeling. We feel like we know a topic. Why? Just because it feels familiar. We have seen it before. Think about it. You are reading a book. The author makes a great point. You nod your head. You think, yes, that is so true. Maybe you even highlight that sentence. In that moment, the idea is very clear. It feels simple and obvious. But here's the important part. You have not really learned it yet. You have only recognized it. You have understood someone else's idea. Your brain has not done the hard work. It has not encoded that information. It has not saved it in your long-term memory. Your brain just enjoyed a good idea from someone else. This is how most of us read. We are passive. We consume information. We think our brains are like buckets. We think we can just pour words into them. But our brains are not buckets. Our brains are more like muscles. A muscle does not grow when you watch someone else exercise. A muscle grows when it does the work itself. Our brains are the same. They grow when they actively work with information. They grow when they struggle with ideas. They grow when they use the information. Passive reading is like watching a workout video and then expecting to be strong. It just does not work. It cannot work. And this is where the forgetting curve is very powerful. Remember Hermann Ebbinghaus? He was the psychologist who studied forgetting. His research in the 1880s was amazing. He showed us how our brains forget things. He discovered that our memory loss is not slow and steady. It is exponential. This means it is very, very fast at this beginning. The biggest drop in your memory happens right after you learn something. Think about the moment you close a book. Within the first hour, a big piece of what you read starts to fade. It just disappears. By the next day, it is like a landslide. So much is gone. After a week, you only have a few small pieces of knowledge, just a few pebbles from the big mountain you thought you had climbed. Why does this happen? Is our brain broken? No, our brains are very smart. They are very efficient. But they can also be a little lazy. Our brains are always trying to save energy. Storing information takes a lot of energy. So the brain has a filter. It is always asking a question. Is this information important? Will I need this information again soon? If you read something one time and never think about it again, your brain gets a message. The message is clear. This was not important. This was a one-time thing. I can delete this. Your brain saves things that are important for survival. It also saves things with strong emotions. This is why you might remember something embarrassing from many years ago. But the helpful ideas from a book you read last week, they might be gone. This can make us feel frustrated. It is a deep feeling of frustration. You spend time and money to improve yourself. You read books to get better, but you do not feel like you are improving. You read books to be a better leader. You read books to be a smarter person. But the lessons disappear. They disappear before you can use them. It can feel like you are running on a wheel, a hamster wheel. You are putting in a lot of effort, but you are not going anywhere. You might start to feel bad about yourself. You might think, maybe I'm not smart enough. Or maybe I just have a bad memory. But here is the most important thing I want you to hear today. It is not your fault. You do not have a bad memory. You have an untrained memory. You have been using a system that is broken, a system that does not work. Think about how we learned to read in school. We read a chapter. We remembered it for a test. And then we forgot it. That system is for temporary learning. It is not for lifelong learning. To truly remember what you read, you need to change your relationship with books. You need to change how you read. You have to move from being a passive person to an active person, from a consumer to a participant. My journey to fix this problem started with a simple solution. It was a very old-fashioned solution, an analog solution. Let me tell you about it. Section 2, the analog solution. Ryan Holiday's note card system. My search for a better way to remember led me to a man named Ryan Holiday. He is a very successful author. He has written many best-selling books. You may have heard of The Obstacle is the Way or The Daily Stoic. Ryan Holiday is also a great reader. He reads a lot of books, and when you read his books, you can see it. His writing is full of stories from history. It is full of wisdom from philosophers. It is full of quotes from many different people. I wondered, how does one person remember all of that? How does he keep so much information in his head? Then I learned the secret. He doesn't keep it all in his head. He uses a system. He outsources his memory to a system. It is a system he learned from his teacher, another author named Robert Greene. It is a physical system, an analog system. It uses note cards. It is like a modern version of something called a commonplace book. For hundreds of years, great thinkers used commonplace books. People like Marcus Aurelius, Thomas Jefferson, and Montaigne. These books were a special place to keep their favorite quotes, a place for their ideas, a place for their observations. It was a way to take a lifetime of reading and put it into a form they could use. Ryan Holiday's version of this is very simple. When I first learned about it, I was not sure. I was skeptical. It seemed too simple. I thought, How can this work in our digital world? But I decided to try it. I promised myself I would try, and it changed everything for me. The system has 3 main steps. Let's go through them together. Step 1. Engage actively while reading. The first step starts before you write any notes. It is about changing the way you read the book itself. The rule is simple. Never read without a pen or pencil in your hand. This is not about highlighting everything. Ryan Holiday says that highlighting big parts of a page is passive. It is almost the same as not marking the book at all. Instead, this process is very careful. It is deliberate. As you should, you are on a hunt. You are actively looking for special passages that are meaningful to you. This could be a powerful quote. It could be a surprising number or fact. It could be a story that you connect with. It could be an idea that you can use in your own life. When you find one of these passages, you underline it. And in the margin, the empty space on the side of the page, you write your own thoughts. Ask yourself questions. Why did this idea stand out to me? What does this connect to in my own life? What does this remind me of? If you find a page with a really big, important idea, one of the main ideas of the whole book, you can fold the corner of that page. This small action of touching the book is very powerful. It makes you a careful reader. You are not just a container for words. You have to make choices on every page. You have to ask, is this idea important enough to capture? This changes your brain. Your brain goes from passive mode to active mode. You are no longer just reading. You are curating. You are choosing the best ideas. It is like you are having a conversation with the author. A famous psychologist, Daniel Willingham, said something wonderful. He said, "Memory is the residue of thought. Residue is what is left behind." This process makes you think about what you are reading, and that thinking is the very first step to creating a memory that lasts. Step 2. The ritual of transference. This is the most important part of the system. This is where the real work happens, and this is where the magic happens. So you have finished your book. You have underlined passages. You have written notes in the margins. Now let the book sit for a little while, maybe for a week. Ryan Holiday says this pause is important. It lets the ideas settle in your mind. It helps you see which ideas are truly important and which ideas were just interesting at the moment. After a week, you come back to the book. Now you begin the ritual of transferring your notes. You will need a stack of index cards. The size can be 4 inches by 6 inches. Now go through the book for every single thing you underlined, for every note you wrote in the margin, for every page corner you folded. You create a new card, 1 card for each idea. On one side of the card, you write the idea. Here is a very important tip. Try to write the idea in your own words. Do not just copy the author's words, paraphrase it. This action forces you to process the idea. You have to truly understand it to explain it yourself. This is a powerful way to remember. Researchers call it the generation effect. Of course, if it is a beautiful quote, you can copy it directly. But for most ideas, use your own words. Below the note, write down the source. Write the name of the book and the author. This way, you can always find where the idea came from. Now for the most important part of this step. In the top corner of the card, you write a theme, a category. This is so important. You do not organize your cards by the name of the book. You organize them by idea, by theme. Let me give you an example. Maybe you read a story in a biography about a Roman emperor. The story is about how he never gave up. The theme for that card could be resilience. Or maybe you read about a study in a business book. The study is about how people make choices. The theme for that card could be decision-making. Maybe you read a beautiful quote from a philosopher about life. You could tag that card with mortality or life. When I first started doing this, it felt very slow. It felt inefficient. My reading speed became much slower. Just transferring the notes from one book could take an hour or more. It felt like I was creating extra work for myself. But then I started to notice something amazing. Something profound was happening. By writing each idea on a card, and by giving each card a theme. I was not just saving information. I was building a map of the information in my mind. I was understanding it at a much deeper level. I could feel the connections between ideas. For the first time, I was not just consuming information. I was wrestling with it. I was taking it apart and putting it back together. I was making the knowledge my own. The slowness was not a problem. The slowness was a good thing. It was a feature, not a bug. It was the price I had to pay for deep learning. Step 3. Building the exterior brain. Over time, you will have many cards. First hundreds of cards, then thousands of cards. Where do you keep them? You can store them in a simple box. A small box made for photos works well. And you organize the cards in the box. You organize them by theme, from A to Z. This collection of cards becomes your special book, your commonplace book. It becomes your external brain, your exterior brain. And this is where the real power of the system shows itself. Let's imagine you need to write something about leadership. You don't have to search your memory for every book you have read about leadership. That is very hard. Instead, you just go to your box. You pull out all the cards with the theme leadership. But you can also pull out cards from other themes. Maybe failure, maybe communication, maybe courage, or strategy. You lay all these cards out on your desk. And suddenly you start to see connections. Connections you never saw before. A story from ancient history connects to a business idea from today. A line from a poem helps you understand a scientific idea. This system helps you be creative. It helps you synthesize ideas. This is impossible when your knowledge is stuck inside individual books on your shelf. This system turns your reading into a web of wisdom, a web that is connected, a web that grows over time, a web that you can access anytime you want. Ryan Holiday actually uses these cards to write his books. He builds his books from his card collection. My own experience with this system was amazing. It was transformative. My desk was often a mess of index cards, but my mind was clearer than ever before. But I also found some problems. The system has limits. It takes a lot of time. A lot of time. And the physical cards take up space. My collection of boxes grew and grew. It started to feel like a big project to manage. It is a very powerful system, but is it easy to manage for a long, long time? And what about other situations? What if you don't need a lifelong collection of wisdom? What if you just need to learn one subject very well for a specific goal? Like a test or a new job? This question led me to a different method. A method that is also very powerful. Section 3, a different approach. The academic powerhouse. The note card system is amazing. It is brilliant for connecting ideas from many different books over many years. But what if your goal is different? What if you are a student and you have a big final exam next week? You need to learn a dense, difficult textbook. Or what if you are a professional and you need to learn a technical book for a certificate? In these cases, you do not need a web of ideas from many books. You need deep understanding of one single book, and you need to remember it quickly. For this goal, there is another system. It is a system that has been tested for many years. It is designed for exactly this purpose. The system is called SQ3R. It was created by an educational psychologist. His name was Francis P. Robinson. He developed this method a long time ago in 1946. SQ3R is a structured way to read and understand. It is designed to change you from a passive reader to an active learner. Studies have shown that this method works. It can help you remember much more. Sometimes it can even double what you remember from reading. It is not as romantic as a box full of handwritten cards, but it is a very, very effective way to learn difficult material. The name SQ3R is an acronym. It stands for the 5 steps in the system: survey, question, read, recite, and review. Let's look at each step. Step 1. S. Survey. Before you start reading the words, you do a survey. You look at the big picture. This should only take 5 or 10 minutes. First, read the title of the chapter, then read the introduction, and read the summary at the end. Next, quickly look at all the headings and subheadings. Look for any words that are bold. Look at any charts, graphs, or pictures. The goal here is not to learn the information yet. The goal is to build a mental map. You are creating a framework in your mind. Imagine you are exploring a new city. First, you look at a map. You see the main roads and big landmarks. The survey step is like looking at the map before you start walking. Your brain now has a structure. It knows what to expect. It is ready to hang the new information on this structure. Step 2. Q. Question. This is where you become very active. You go back through the chapter, and you turn every heading and subheading into a question. For example, imagine a heading is the causes of the Industrial Revolution. You write down a question. What were the main causes of the Industrial Revolution? If a subheading is the role of steam power, you ask the question, what role did steam power play? This simple action is incredibly powerful. It makes you curious. It gives your reading a purpose, a mission. You are no longer just reading to finish the chapter. You are reading to find answers to your own questions. This changes you from a passive person into a detective. You are looking for clues. This helps you focus your attention on the important information. Step 3. R. Read. Now it is time to read. Only now, and you read with a clear goal. Your goal is to answer the questions you just wrote. Read one section at a time. Focus on finding the answer for that section's question. When you find the answer, you can highlight it, but only a little bit. The main goal is to understand. Because you have a specific question in your mind, your brain is much better at its job. It can easily see the main ideas. The important information will jump out at you. The supporting details will be less distracting. Step 4. R. Recite. This next step is maybe the most important step of all, but it is also the step that most people skip. Please do not skip this step. The step is recite. After you read a section and find the answer to your question, you stop reading. You look away from the book and you try to say the answer out loud. Use your own words. If you cannot explain the answer simply, it means you have not truly understood it yet. And that is okay. It just means you need to read that part again. This step uses two very strong memory principles. The first is the testing effect. When you try to remember information, you are testing yourself. This small test makes the memory pathway in your brain much stronger. It is much more powerful than just reading the words again. The second principle is the generation effect. This is what we talked about with the note cards. When you use your own words, your brain works harder. It processes the information more deeply. And this makes the memory stickier. It is easier to remember later. If you are in a quiet place like a library, you can just write a short summary. You don't have to speak out loud. The important thing is the action of retrieving the information from your memory and articulating it. Step 5. R. Review. The final step is to review. This step is designed to fight the forgetting curve. After you have finished the whole chapter, after you have done the read and recite steps for each section, you go back and look at your notes. Read the questions you wrote down. See if you can still answer them from memory. And here is a very important part of this step. You should space out your review sessions over time. This is called the spacing effect. Do not just review everything one time right after you finish. Review your notes after an hour, then review them again the next day. Then review them again a week later. Every time you force your brain to remember the information, you send a signal. The signal says, "This is important. Do not delete it." And the speed of forgetting slows down. It slows down a lot. These review sessions do not need to be long. Just a quick 5-minute review can make a huge difference. It can help move the information into your long-term memory. The SQ3R method is a full system. It is a plan for attacking difficult books. It gives you a clear structure. But it is mostly for one book at a time. It is focused on remembering information from a single source. So the note card system gives you a lifelong, connected library of ideas. The SQ3R system gives you deep knowledge of one textbook. This made me wonder, could I combine these two systems? Could I take the best parts of both? Could I use the themes from the note cards and the structure from SQ3R? And could I do it in a way that was easier than carrying boxes of cards? The answer to these questions led me to the real breakthrough, the biggest discovery of my journey. Section 4. The surprising truth. Building a second brain. My journey began with a simple wish. I wanted to remember what I read. I tried the analog system with note cards. It was powerful, but it was also slow and heavy. I studied the academic system, SQ3R. It was effective, but it felt limited to one book at a time. I felt like I had two good tools, but both tools were incomplete. The surprising truth I discovered was not a secret memory trick. It was a new way of thinking. It was this. The goal is not to have a perfect memory. The goal is to build a perfect system for memory. There is a famous author named David Allen. He wrote a very popular book about productivity. It is called Getting Things Done. In his book, he wrote a sentence that changed how I think. He wrote, "Your mind is for having ideas, not holding them." When I read that, everything clicked. It all made sense. I had been trying to make my brain into a perfect computer, a perfect hard drive that never forgets anything. But that is not the brain's job. The brain is not for storage. The brain is an engine for connections. It is a machine for seeing patterns. It is a generator for new ideas. The brain is best at the creative work of thinking. It is not good at the boring work of storing thousands of facts. So what is the solution? The solution is to build a system outside of your brain, an external system that does the holding for you, a system that you can trust. Imagine a system that is as easy to search as Google and as personal to you as a diary. This is the idea of a second brain. This name was made popular by a productivity expert named C.O.D.E. A second brain is the modern version of the old commonplace book. It is a central place for all your digital information, a place for everything you learn and all the ideas you have. It combines the old wisdom of Ryan Holiday's cards with the power of today's technology. Building a second brain might sound difficult. It might sound intimidating, but it is really just a simple process. It has 4 steps. C.O.D.E. uses an acronym for these steps. The acronym is C.O.D.E. It stands for Capture, Organize, Distill, and Express. I realized that this C.O.D.E. framework could bring everything together. It could combine all the things I had learned into one single system. Step 1. C. Capture the modern net. Just like the other systems, this one starts with capturing ideas. But now you have more than just a pen. You have many digital tools. For example, when you read a book on a Kindle, you can highlight parts. There are services like Readwise that can automatically send all your Kindle highlights to a note-taking app. When you find an interesting article on the internet, you can use a tool called a web clipper. With one click, you can save the whole article. If you hear a great idea in a podcast, you can speak a quick note into your phone. Your phone can turn your words into text. The rule here is to capture what resonates. Capture the things that feel important to you. Don't think too much. If an idea feels inspiring or useful or surprising, just capture it. This is the digital version of underlining in a book or folding a page corner. You are creating a filter. You are choosing the knowledge you want to keep. The most important thing is to make this process easy. It should be frictionless. You need one place where all your ideas go, a trusted inbox for everything. There are many apps you can use. Evernote, Notion, Obsidian, or Apple Notes are all good choices. The specific tool is not as important as the habit of capturing Step 2. O. Organize. Action-oriented archives. After you capture your ideas, you need to organize them. This is where many people have trouble. They create a very complex system of folders. It becomes a digital graveyard where ideas go to be forgotten. The second brain idea offers a much simpler way. Instead of organizing your notes by topic like psychology or history, you organize them based on how you can use them. You organize for action. Tiago Forte suggests a simple 4-part system. It is another acronym called PARA. PARA stands for Projects, Areas, Resources, and Archives. Projects. These are short-term tasks with a clear goal. For example, finish my report for work or plan my family vacation. Areas. These are long-term parts of your life that you are responsible for. For example, health, finances, or home. Resources. These are topics that you are interested in. This is where your notes from reading would go. For example, habits, gardening, or ancient Rome. Archives. This is a place for everything that is finished or no longer active. Things from your projects, areas, or resources can move here when they are done. This system is brilliant because it is not static. It is dynamic. It moves with your life. Your notes are not just sitting in a digital library. They are connected to your current goals and projects. A note about productivity might start in your resources folder. Then you might move it to a specific project folder when you need it. And when that project is finished, the note can go into the archive. This system follows the natural flow of your work in your life. Step 3. Distill, finding the essence. This is the most important step in the C.O.D.E process. This step is the digital version of creating a note card. It is the digital version of the recite step from SQ3R. A raw highlight from a book is not useful knowledge. It is just a copied sentence. You have to process it. You have to make it your own. There is a great technique for this. It is called progressive summarization. Let's see how it works. You start with a note you captured. For example, an article you saved from the internet. On your first time reading it, you just make the most interesting sentences bold. The next time you look at that note, you do another pass. This time, you highlight the best sentences from the ones you made bold. Finally, on a third pass, you take those few highlighted ideas and you write a short summary at the top of the note. You write this summary in your own words. This is where the real learning happens. You can even take this one step further. You can create something called atomic notes. An atomic note is a note with just one single idea. You take one idea from your summary and you put it on its own new digital note. You give that note a very clear title. For example, The Forgetting Curve shows that memory fades quickly at first. Then you write 1 or 2 sentences explaining that idea in your own words. This little atomic note is the digital version of a single 4 by 6 inch index card. This process of distilling, summarizing, and rephrasing, it forces you to think deeply. It creates that residue of thought that makes strong memories. You are not just a collector of information. You are a sense maker. You are creating your own personal encyclopedia of the best ideas you have ever found. Step 4. Express. Show your work. Information is not true knowledge until you use it. The final step of the C.O.D.E system is to express, to use your notes to create something new. This is the best form of remembering. It is the ultimate active recall. You could write a blog post. You could create a presentation for work. You could share what you learned with your team. Or you could just explain a new idea to a friend over coffee. This is where a digital second brain shows its true power. Modern note-taking apps like Obsidian have a special feature. They use bidirectional links, or backlinks. This sounds complicated, but it is a simple and powerful idea. When you create your atomic notes, you can link them together. For example, if you have a note about the spacing effect, you can create a link to your note on the forgetting curve. Now, when you look at one of those notes, you will see a link to the other one. This creates a web of your ideas. Over time, your second brain starts to look like a map of your own mind. You can see how an idea from philosophy connects to an idea from business. You can follow a path of thoughts from one idea to another. This helps you generate new insights and new ideas. Your second brain becomes a creative partner. It is not just a storage box. It is an extension of your own mind, an extension of your intelligence. It is a system for remembering, connecting, and creating. It is a system that can do more than your biological brain alone. By building this system, you are not just remembering books. You are building a foundation. The foundation for a lifetime of learning and growing. This journey has been so important to me. Going from forgetting everything to building a system that remembers for me. It has completely changed the way I learn. But it is about more than just remembering books. It is about making your learning count. It is about respecting your own time and effort. It is about building a life that is more intentional, more thoughtful. Today, we talked about so many wonderful ideas. We talked about the pain of forgetting. We learned about the simple power of note cards. We discovered the structured approach of C.O.D.E. And we explored the amazing potential of a digital second brain. The secret to remembering everything you read is this: stop trying to remember everything. Stop trying to make your brain into a perfect filing cabinet. Your brain is not for holding information. Your brain is for creating, for connecting, and for living. The pressure we feel to remember everything is not helpful. It is not realistic. It traps us in a cycle of passive reading and forgetting. The real solution is to build a system outside of your brain, an external system that you can trust. The best system for me is a mix of everything we talked about, a hybrid system. It uses the ideas from SQ3R to read actively. It uses digital tools to capture ideas easily. And it uses the principles of atomic notes to build a web of knowledge. Like Ryan Holiday's cards, but with the power of a computer. This system does not just help me remember books. It helps me use them. It turns passive words on a page into active knowledge. Knowledge I can use in my work, in my conversations, and in my life. The goal of reading is not to be a trivia champion. The goal is to gain wisdom, to change how you see the world, to make better choices. A perfect memory will not give you that, but a perfect system can. A system gives you freedom, the freedom to let go of the need to remember, and it frees up your beautiful mind to do what it does best. So, my dear friend, stop trying to remember everything. Start building the system that remembers for you. That is the real secret. That is how you can finally make what you read stick. Learning is a journey, not a race. Be kind to yourself. Be patient with your mind. Every small step you take is a victory. Keep going. You are doing a wonderful job. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. It was a pleasure to share these ideas with you. I am always so happy to hear from you. What is one book you wish you could remember perfectly? Do you have your own system for remembering what you read? You can leave a comment if you like. I love reading them. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider giving it a like or a follow. It is a small action that helps our community grow so much. Thank you again for being here. Until we meet again, take care. See you next time, my friend.